Marvel has brought us some of the strongest men, powerful women, and epic characters of the last 85 years. And today, our challenge is to build one of these characters in 3D. I'm going to be using an app called Blender, and the best thing about it, it's completely free. I'm a 3D artist, and every month I host a new art challenge. A theme is drawn from a hat, and then we have until the end of that month to create the best artwork we can. This month, the theme was from the world of Marvel, and I decided to create Felicia Hardy, also known as Black Cat. In part 1, I used some basic shapes to create a sort of mannequin, and then I rigged that mannequin to test out some poses. The job now is to turn this mannequin into a complete stylized character. And in case you're wondering, this challenge is open to anyone, so if you want to know what the theme is for next month, stick around because it will be drawn at some point in this video. But for now, this is my journey creating a 3D character. The start of a project is always a lot of fun. I'm not sure why, but my theory is that it's because we see the most amount of change in the least amount of time. In just an hour or so, these super simple shapes start to take the form of a character. I slowly work around the model, merging parts where I need to, trying to find a nice balance between simple shapes and complex anatomy, with my favourite part being the head. I start working in a nose, then eyes, then the mouth. And the head looks a bit younger than what I'm going for, but I'll work on that as we move along. I build on some eyebrows, then add a sphere for eyeballs. It's already looking pretty sweet, but now it's time for retopology. For those that are new to this, topology is all about how the squares that make up the 3D model are put together. And generally speaking, the fewer squares we have, the better. But when you sculpt the way that we have so far, you end up with a lot of these squares. So our job now is to reconstruct the model with as few squares possible. To save a little bit of time, I repurposed one of my other characters that I've already done this process to and wrapped it around the new sculpt. And I've decided that I'm just going to work on the top half for now, so I save the hands, legs and feet for later. Then I shade the eyes and create some eyelashes before calling it for the day. So I'm pretty happy with the head now. I think we've made some pretty decent progress, but there's only so far I'm gonna be able to take it until we've got some hair in the scene, because until you've got hair, it's always gonna look a little bit off. So that's today's job, and I'm pretty excited today because I've got 3-4 hours now of uninterrupted work time. These are the best days for sculpting when there's no other things to do. You can just sit down and sculpt, especially when you're doing hair, which takes quite a while, but I'm excited. It's gonna be a good day today. I can feel it. All right, let's get on with it. Now, the way I start hair is by adding in a basic sphere and pushing and pulling it around to find the overall shape of the hair mass. Now, while this shape usually gets hidden in the final render, it serves as the base for all the hair strands that we're going to start laying down in a moment. But before we do that, I'm first going to sculpt on this base a rough direction for the hair strands. And while these steps might seem a little bit unnecessary, it will save us time in the long run. And now it was onto the hair strands, laying them down one by one on top of the shape that we just created. Pretty soon, things started to get a little bit complicated. So if you ever find yourself in this situation where you're getting quite a few hair strands in your scene and everything's getting a bit complicated and you don't know if stuff's intersecting, if stuff's overlapping, and you just can't quite see what's going on, all you need to do is come up here into the top right corner underneath viewport shading, and where it says colour, change that to random, and then that changes the colour of all your pieces, and now I can see exactly where all this stuff is intersecting, and that just makes it so much easier to see what you're doing. So for the rest of this hair, I'm going to be using that. Now, this process can take a while, and I actually spent the rest of my working day just tweaking hair strands before calling it a day and giving my eyes a little rest. So we've made a pretty solid start on the hair. I'm getting proper excited about this project now. You know, I said to one of my friends last week that I want this to be the best piece that I've ever sculpted, and so far, touch wood, nothing bad has happened, and I feel like we're on track. I've got a good feeling about this piece. Feeling pretty good. I make a start on some realistic style eyelashes. Now, if you've seen my work, you know that normally I just stick to the block style eyelash, but I'm really liking the face and I want to see how far I can push it. And while these eyelashes are made out of complicated geometry, geometry nodes, the eyebrows were made in a much simpler way. First, I created some new shapes around the existing eyebrows before simply just applying an eyebrow texture to it. Then we can use the alpha channel from the texture to tell Blender which part should be transparent and which part should be eyelashes. A few tweaks of the shader later and I think they're looking pretty convincing. Next up is the cat suit, and I made this using retopology tools, but rather than creating new topology for the character, I'm creating an entirely new object. Now since the cat suit is skin tight, the topology is very similar to the character's topology, so that way it will move in a similar way. Then we make the material black and shiny, and it's job done. Well, for now, anyway. Now, you know how I said that hair can take a while? Well, I then spent the rest of that day tweaking hair strands. And then the following day, I did nothing but tweak hair strands. This might take a while. So we're on Friday now, it's the end of the week. I'm super happy with the progress that I've made on this. Look at this. I'm a little bit concerned that something's gonna go wrong before the end. It's all been going a little bit too smoothly, but hopefully we're gonna be fine and everything's just gonna work. So we'll see how we get on today. I think it's gonna be a good day, another good day. Okay, let's move on. So everything was going so well, and by Friday, I felt unstoppable. And so full of confidence, I decided to try something new with the hair. And that's when everything slowly started to go downhill. At first, I tried to create a texture for the hair, which I'd never really done before. It kinda looked cool, but I could only get it to show up sideways on the hair strand. So then I attempted to learn how UVs work on curves, but
now we need a profile, attribute, data, profile, attribute, parameter, data, factor, curve, factor right now.
That didn't get me anywhere. But after what seemed an eternity, eventually I got the texture working. But the hard part was getting it to look good. And I worked at this for hours. It's getting pretty late. I should probably go to bed. But instead, I just got bogged down with silly problems. What I want is for it to be like transparent at the top here. It doesn't seem to be working. Please, give me something. Yes! You know what? It's so simple, but this makes the whole hair strand look so much more realistic. Man, it's took me a long time to get there though. And the next day it dawned on me that I am in danger of getting way too bogged down with this if I carry on going as I am. I'd never get it done. I'm falling down a rabbit hole that I know I'm not going to be able to crawl out of on time. So I need to make a decision on what I'm going to do for the rest of this hair. Whether I'm going to, I don't know, creating geometry node hair, maybe. I think what I'm going to do is have a little go at doing geometry node hair tonight. And if I can't get it looking good by the end of the night, I might just revert back to my usual style. We'll just see how it goes. So what started as trying to add a simple texture to the hair has led me down the path of trying to turn this into geometry node hair, which can have great results. And you can see here that the results are promising. But I did have one concern. I know that this very quickly gets really hard on your system and things start slowing down a lot and it gets difficult to do much in your scene. So I'm not going to get excited just yet, but it does look pretty cool. Who knows, this could be the start of something new. So I continued pushing at this, and the approach was to convert the hair that I already had down into geometry node style hair. And here you can see me removing edges down the length of the original hair to avoid too many hair curves being converted and crashing Blender. It took the entire day, but slowly things started to look promising. But the following day, I had another wild idea. I feel like I'm in kind of an awkward position here because yesterday I did say I will only work on it until the end of yesterday because I'm running out of time, and I worked a lot yesterday. I started working on the hair with my morning coffee and I finished literally just as I was going to bed. I just worked through the entire day, which I don't recommend, by the way. It's not worth it. But just before I went to bed, I did a few experiments with improving the method that I was using. And when I woke up, I continued with those little experiments. And I think that what took me like 6, 7, 8 hours yesterday, I could do again now in like an hour. And I'd have a lot more control over the hair. And it would also be a lot nicer on system resources. So I'm in a bit of a tricky situation with what to do. Do I go ahead and redo everything that I did yesterday? I think I'm gonna have to, because I really think this new way of doing things is gonna just improve everything else moving forwards. So very quickly running out of time on this now, but I think it'll be worth it. So I'm gonna give it a go. Okay, let's try and get this. This isn't working yet. It's only a bit broken. Gotta figure out why it's not working. Why is it not working? Nothing's happening. Oh no, why is it not working? Oh, turn you off, plug in you. Why are we not getting anything now? Oh, it's working. It's working. Yes! It doesn't look like much now, but this is the start of something, I'm telling you. Now I'm gonna do something reckless. I'm gonna drop all these in here, and when I do that, all of these blocks of hair should turn into blocks of hair strands. Did it work? It did work. Look at that. Get in. Oh man, it's only been like 10 minutes and I've got like the whole head of hair done. This took me hours to do yesterday. Now, I lost my entire Friday, Saturday and Sunday down this rabbit hole, so it feels pretty good to be out of it and to have learned from it as well. But the question I have now is, was it worth it? I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like the look of the hair, and it does actually get a little bit better by the end of this video. But does it look so much better that I should try this style with my next character? I don't know, let me know what you think. I'm genuinely interested in your opinion on this. One thing I do know is that I'm gonna have to pull this project right back now if I've got any hope of finishing it. So I've decided I'm not gonna do a full body character after all, and I'm just gonna work with what I've got right now and just ignore the lower half, which is a shame, but there's no way I'm gonna be able to finish this in time now and keep my sanity. In fact, even just doing the top half is gonna be a push, so let's get a move on. To create the mask that she's wearing, again I use retopology tools to draw the object directly onto the character. Then once the initial shape is down, I can then play around with it to make it look a bit more appealing. Then to add seams to the catsuit, I painted onto a height map, which gives the illusion of sculpting onto the object. I also used a Voronoi texture to create a polka dot pattern, and then used a mix node to masquerade the seams texture and added the dots to the height map. For the skin, I first painted a base skin colour, then added red tones to the lips, cheeks, nose and eyes. Then I turned the density down and sprayed the face with a variety of colour, paying attention to the colour zones of the face. Since I'm only doing the top half of the character now, I have abandoned the original pose idea, and I've decided that I'm going to go with a super simple pose that won't require too much time. Then once it was in pose, I then spend a bit of time just adjusting the hair to the new pose. And what I found was that realistic style hair like this seems to look better with a more realistic style shape than what I had. So I toned the shape down a little bit. Now, I am disappointed that I didn't manage to get the full pose down, let alone the background elements as well, which was the original plan. But you know what? We've just got to learn from it. And the biggest takeaway that I've got from this project is working through your entire weekend is a terrible idea. I do not recommend it. My mental health definitely took a hit, so I won't be doing that again. But now it's time for our next project, and for that, we need a theme. So this is the flat cap, don't ask. We've got 29 themes in here now. I was gonna replace it every month, but I've got like 2.5 years worth of themes in here. So I'm just gonna keep drawing them until they've all gone. So there's all the themes in there. Before we draw it, we do need a drum roll. So here we go. I'm gonna draw a theme out now for this month. I'm gonna show you guys first. The theme this month is from the world of, just going to check that it's the right way around, whatever that says. I'm going to look at it now. The theme for July 2024 is from the world of Overwatch. Okay, nice, I like it. few characters to choose from. This is going to be a good month. I'm looking forward to this. So to submit your entries, all you need to do is post it on social media using the hashtag DM3D followed by whatever the theme is. So for this month, it'll be hashtag DM3D Marvel. Next month, July, it'll be hashtag DM3D Overwatch. You have until the end of the month to submit your entries, and the best will be posted in some form on my social media, probably Instagram stories, maybe somewhere else as well. And I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. I think it's going to be another good month. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. And don't forget, I also have a Gumroad and a Patreon if you want to learn how to sculpt stylized characters. I've got a bunch of lessons up on Gumroad. And if you subscribe on Patreon, you get the same lessons a little bit cheaper, delivered straight to your inbox as well. However, now, this is the moment that a lot of you have just skipped forward to. This is my attempt at creating a 3D character from the world of Marvel.